I would like to invite Professor Dr. Ursula Renold for her presentation on Promoting and Ensuring Permeability in Education System Reforms from the International Perspective. Dr. Ursula Renold is the Professor of Education Systems at the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology, ETH Zurich, and is also the Chairperson of the Center on the Economics and Management of Education and Training Systems, CEMETS, and the CES Swiss Education Lab. She holds honorary professorship at the University of Applied Labor Studies in Mannheim, Germany, and is a visiting faculty member at the Kathmandu University School of Education in Nepal. Dr. Renold has 25 minutes for her presentation.
Thank you very much for this very warm welcome. Hello everybody, fans of the Tibet sector in Nepal. I'm really proud to be back here in Nepal, in Kathmandu. We had a wonderful 3-day trips to Hetauda, Bharatava, Baribas, Chanakpur, Mulkat, and this morning we are back here in Kathmandu. So I feel the taste and the flowers of the beauty of your country, and I'm really convinced that this Nepal will make the change and become this rock star on Tibet in Nepal. Because I'm with you since 7 years. It's my 12th time here in Nepal. And comparing my first visit to the visit and the audience I have here, I can just congratulate for this great achievement. I'm so proud seeing you, seeing all of you, and I would say I know 80% here in the room personally, and that's a good sign. And therefore, I like to give now an overview of what's next. When I'm here, I like to challenge all the people because I believe in your power. I believe in your competence to go beyond what you have now. And I share that with the high officials here, our Joint Secretary Shiva Sir, but also with the new Secretary General of the CTVT, that working with 30 countries, I really have an overview of what's going on in this world in the Tibet sector. But Nepal, I can tell you, is the rock star. You may not see it because you are struggling with your everyday problems. But if you have really the overview, what other countries are doing, I can tell you it's worth the time to spend for Tibet, and I motivate you to just keep going. Now, today's presentation is about this permeability. Why does it matter? Why is it important for the Tibet sector? And I just will go through some topics. First of all, I present our newest study on permeability ideal types based on different levels of access and opportunities. In a second short overview, I explain you that permeability can only be developed over time, and I show you what we did in Switzerland. I was partly responsible for this development in Switzerland because I was Secretary of Education in that field, and therefore I know a lot about reforms, and seeing what you are doing is similar to what I have done in Switzerland, so that's why I'm convinced you will do it. Then I go into the broader scope of permeability, which is linked to recognition of prior learning. And in your document, you already have a flyer saying that Nepal want to invest in that too. And last but not least, the instrument which you need to enable that permeability is the National Vocational Qualification System. Again, this is an instrument which is in place in your country. It's a paper. Now we have to fill it with life. But other countries do even not have that instrument. So that's, again, something which makes your country really appealing. And then the newest study why we are here is we are now trying to survey industry, because you know Tibet is not working without industry. So you have to embrace the industry sector as a learning location. And I give you a small snapshot on where we are. And we will be back end of August again here and present then the study, because this field trip was about validation of quantitative facts. We want to better understand why these facts are like that. But in August, we present then the newest finding. Now, in the study we recently published with the funny title, A Ticket Up and a ticket out, we developed 7 ideal types on permeability. And you can see here, this first box is the dream for all country, meaning if you have opportunities for all people throughout the life, then you can consider your system as fully permeable. The opposite is the next, is number 2. This is in most of the country around the world the case. You have an academic-only route, high school and then university, but not really a good system for those who never will have access to a university. And then we have several models in between. So this is the dead-end VET. That means you have VET program on an upper secondary level, but they are leading not to a progression route. And a dead end for student is not attractive. So that's why you have to start to set up sometimes VET, but the leaders need to anticipate what is the next level. So I don't go, due to time restriction, I don't go into all these models. You can read the study if you want. It's available in English, but I will later on come to Nepal, where I think you are, and what are the next steps in Nepal. Here again, the academic only is nowadays, I will come back to you, challenged in all countries. If it's Singapore, Korea, United States, you name them. Why? Because we have digital transformation. And the digital transformation is such a fast trend in a country, leading to constant fast change of qualification requirement in the labor market, that schools and university do have to cope with that fast change. So that's why we are overwhelmed with requests. How can we now learn to co-produce skills? The very full permeable system is looking like that. This is very simplified. I will show you then later on a more complex slide. But what is important here is that you not only have boxes with type of programs, you have arrows. And arrows means each program is leading to a next higher program until the highest level of your NVQS or NQF, or in international terms, it's International Standard Classification of Education, leads to level 8. And I want to see that in all countries for academic education, but also for PET, Professional Education and Training. That's for the practitioners. And the arrows means you organize programs or bridges, passerelles, from one program to the other. And if you have that, then you can consider your program as really permeable. Why is it important? Again, here, this is mostly what you have in Nepal. You have TVET programs, you have CTVT, you have a lot of level 3 program, level 5 program. They have access to, some of them will have access to academic education, colleges and universities, but not all. And I say, as an advocate for learners and students, the system must work for everyone, not just for 25% of the people in your country. Everyone. And everyone means we have to care about those who work in the practical field. They need now more education, and the question is what type of program they need. Good, the dream, here again, you may have PET program, but if the arrows are weak and not for everyone, I still consider the system as not made for everyone. And that, of course, leads to the problem that you have equity problems. You have access for the elites, but not access for, let's say, the disadvantaged group or those who have never had the chance to go in a formal program. Now, as you may know, okay, this is a long way, yes, but you have just to start with. Here, you see the Swiss education system simplified with many boxes. You know, we have the typical academic route, high school, then bachelor, master, PhD, but you see in this system we have many other boxes. So we have applied universities. These are universities who work with industry together in research, or they do project, the students are doing constantly project with the industry. It's something in between professional education and universities. But what we have is a lot of PET. 800 diploma in professional education and training. Most nurses in Switzerland are PET diploma, but also accountant. The highest level is an accountant, for example. On the right side, you see, this was not invented in the last century. No, we start to analyze where are the problems, and then we invent programs. So the PET level was only invented in 1978. Since then, we have these 800 professional education and training programs. But at that time, we had two silos. You know, either you are in the academic route or you are in the VET route, but there were no crossings from one pathway to the other. So in 1996, this is when my role, when I jump in, we created the so-called vocational baccalaureate. This is more general education for those having a TVET diploma on upper secondary level, and we created this University of Applied Sciences, which is the second type of university, again, applied oriented. And a lot of arrows means we have to check how can a learner from this pathway move on to a next one. Of course, it's always about access and conditions. But I want to show you that picture to just motivate you. It's the way is important, not that you have it overnight. You have to go together on the way. And the good message for you is you have all instruments now in Nepal. We just have to fill it with life. Now, what is the effect? Now you have seen, we started in 1996 with vocational baccalaureate and with University of Applied Sciences. Now I show you the Swiss population, highest education credential in the Swiss population from 1996 up to 22. And what are you seeing is there is a little bit a trend down for what we called the TVET, upper secondary education, and there is a huge trend up here at the university level. So the blue dots are universities. But if we see the next slide, what kind of universities are now growing extremely? The University of Applied Sciences. And the University of Applied Sciences, most students are coming from the TVET sector. So this is a good trend because our industry needs practically gifted people. So there's the strong growth of the University of Applied Sciences, UAS degree is important for VET because that makes the VET system attractive. When we go now deeper into the detail, because in the last slide I show you this is the full population, including administration, education, and healthcare, which is public in Switzerland, and those who have not are not in a working position. Now I'll show you the slides without administration, education, and healthcare, and the people are not working. And what you see, the majority of the work pool in Switzerland do have as a highest degree TVET upper secondary education. Why? We are a small and medium enterprise country. 98% of our companies are small. And then we have still a huge number of compulsory education, meaning they have a lot of informal learning. These are immigrants in Switzerland, and they have not really good education. If they are out of the labor market, they have difficulties to get in again. What is also important is that we have, let's say, 10% here are from research universities, and then 10% for University of Applied Sciences. 1 out of 10 people in a company has an academic degree, and the rest have professional and vocational degree. Why? We are the most competitive country around the world, the most innovative one. But if you create this mouse for a computer, you need, of course, engineers, but you need a lot of people who bring the product to the market, and that requires practical skills. So I just want to say that it depends on your labor market, but seeing now Nepal since 7 years, you are a small and medium enterprise country too, right? And you need a lot of skills, practical skills. So we have to make sure that we can boost this TVET sector as well as the PET sector. Why it is important? Increasing access and opportunity through permeability leads to better outcome for young and adult. Here you have a slide showing the probability of our people to be once unemployed in the country. And nobody wants to be unemployed. And we see here from that corner, this is the average, 100% is the average. Those having only a compulsory education, they are mostly affected. 180% risk to be once unemployed. The green one is PT, is VT, vocational education, dual vocational education. And you see here, the best protected people from unemployment are PT people. Universities are not that good prepared for that because of what? They don't learn soft skills and all that at schools, which are now the requirement on the labor market. So again, what I want to say, this fact told us that experience, work experience, is extremely important nowadays and will be more important in the future. We analyze constantly what our job market is looking for, and when I saw that slide the first time, I was shocked. Shocked for universities and for the full-time schools. Because the trend here is a share of job vacancy on the labor market on that axis. You see that yellow means people having a compulsory education are not anymore in demand. The black curve is telling you people having tertiary education, that means higher education, are very on demand, but not necessarily the academics. PT people are on demand. The highest, almost exponential trend are the green curve and the red curve. And green curve means work experience. No graduate from a university in Switzerland can directly enter the labor market. They have to do 1, 2, 3 internships to get into such a position. And of course, as an economist, I say this is not efficient. The other trend is the red trend is soft skills. So soft skills means companies don't want to educate them in behavior, in the company culture. They expect to be ready, but training soft skills in a school setting is very difficult. So, and that's going on, and that has to do with the digital transformation, and therefore I say all countries are totally affected. And I warn university, be careful, your graduates may even do more internships until they are ready to work. Now, this is what I call the importance of having programs in all these 8 levels, but basically a permeable system should be considered in a broader sense. First of all, formal education is what you have seen in the slides with regard to formal pathways, the degree programs. But apart from that, lifelong learning has a lot to do with non-formal education, this short-term skills training, and informal education. And I will show you a slide how many employees in your companies do just have informal education. So it's huge. And if we want to help country, or if we want to improve your human capital in your society, we should always address and respect that we have 3 forms of education: formal, non-formal, and informal. Again, most people in the education field think about formal education. Here in Nepal, of course, short-term courses matters a lot. That's why you are also having a high emphasis on non-formal. But non-formal is very fuzzy. It's not, the quality control is extremely difficult. It's a public and private market. So in Switzerland we say it's a market, it's like mushrooms, you know, that these courses are coming and going, and it's extremely difficult to regulate that. What I see, the permeability in a broader sense means we have to recognize prior learning, particularly in developing country. And so these arrows here, this RPL, recognition of prior learning, are procedures which you can organize. And actually, we had a good discussion with entrepreneurs in Kathmandu, Birendra, see him, Swagat, your colleagues in Hetauda, that they see the need to validate the informal learning of employees just to upgrade their skilling and help them to get back into the education system. That is, in my view, appealing. And here's a study we did for European countries. We want to analyze how well is RPL represented in the European Union and what do we understand by that. I cannot go due to short time here into detail, but basically you have two questions to answer. One is primary aim of the procedure for recognize prior learning. Is it dispensation from school subject, or is it partial or full certification? And depending on what your goal is, you have primary evaluation methods. There are basically two ways how to do it. Competence check with exams is maybe mostly done in Nepal because you have the NSTB here, which is used to do the skills, the exam and testing the skills. Or you do equivalency checks without exam. But that requires curricula with competencies. So you need to have this list to check competencies. And you see the majority here in Europe, in the partial full certification, the majority is doing competence check with exam. It's more credible, people have more trust if someone is doing an exam, but there are some alternatives. To sum up, first part, permeability is absolutely key for top performing education system because it is the only way to ensure equity. And equity is a huge problem in a lot of countries. Kendra sir knows we work with a lot of Americans. The education system of America, some states, is working for 25% of the population. That means 75% do not have access to their education system. As advocates for a good education, we cannot accept that. We have to put our brains together to solve that problem. So the solution is it offers access. That means moving from any starting point to any end point in the system. Opportunity means all pathways reach the highest level. That makes it very attractive. And again, this digital transformation will challenge the education system extremely. I don't have fear for technical vocational education training. I have more fear for universities, and I warn my own, and it's the highest ranked university, the ETH in Europe. I warn them, if we don't care about soft skills, the graduates will not find the right jobs in a short time. Permeability in a broader sense offers this recognition of prior learning procedures, and permeability makes the TVET system attractive. We are here and discuss this permeability because TVET needs permeability. The university level is here since ever, you know. That was maybe the first institution you invented in that country, apart from general education. They don't need that permeability so much. The other part needs permeability. And permeability supports, of course, economic development, and that I will tell that later. If your companies are not getting the right skills, they cannot be productive, and that hinders their growth rate. We have now data about a Nepali economy. So the permeable system always offers a ticket up and a ticket out. Ticket up means to next higher progression routes, and the ticket out means to a labor market, a decent job with a good income. Now, where we are here in Nepal, well, the good news is you really did a lot. I'm so proud about Nepal and CTVT and all NVQS team, the donor partners, all actors, the government, who really, I know you are not satisfied with what you see, but you have to always hear from a prophet from outside that you are different to other countries, you are faster. You developed this qualification system very shortly, and this is now ready for being filled with options and opportunities. We just have to do a first, a second pilot to demonstrate how this could work. And it also offers a progression route following reforms by ensuring space for programs that have yet to be introduced. I have so many ideas for you where you could start in hospitality, in the trekking industry, in the manufacturing industry. And talking to your industry, they are ready. They just need a little bit more knowledge, how to do it, how to work together, but actually I think you're ready. The NVQS also provides for concrete recognition of prior learning procedures. There you are prepared. We just have to do it more. I borrowed that slide from Usha Bandari. She presented that in a webinar on an international level. This is your system. So what we quickly see, you have everything from grade 11 to PhD. That is here. For the TVET sector, you have diploma level and you have the pre-diploma level, and then you have a big bunch of short-term courses level 1 to 4, which I consider the non-formal sector. But what are these pre-diploma or diploma people do if they don't can enter a university? It's a dead end. So this is the problem we have to solve next. Issues is low recognition of certificates. If it's a dead end, there is no recognition among young generation. They leave your country for hope that they get a better credential. No recognition of skills of informal worker. Transferability, comparability. I had a very interesting discussion with Shiva sir about credit system last Friday. Be careful with that. I just warn you, we need to understand for what we need that and how can we do it. No reliable reference for employers, low employment of graduates, decreasing number of youth in TVET, so it's not attractive for them. So these kind of issues we have to solve. But the good message is here, this official approved NVQS. You have everything. It's linked to the international standard classification. You have level 8 TVET, you have level 8 general education. On paper. You have that on paper. That's the first step. Now, we want to help you to get that paper into life. And for me, here, this is the next big problem that we now, and this is, if a country has not a tradition, it's hard. The same I do with some states in the US. They don't know that. They have a similar system as you have. Say, okay, industry leaders, tell us what are entry job level, what are middle job level, what are high job level, where people could climb up a ladder within the industry and get credential, formal credential. This is what I called professional education and training, and we can do that on level 6, 7, and 8. I'm happy to discuss with the academic level whether they agree on that and whether even that would help them to raise their quality in their institution. So for me here, from level 3 to level 8, qualification standard and curriculum development should be led by the industry association. Give them power. They are the only one who know what they need in the business sector. And if the CTVT can approve those standards, then you are in line with the need of the labor market. And this is my aim for you in the TVET Act, that the industry gets the power to decide. They have, of course, some duties, which we can discuss, and they are willing to do, but this is the only way how you can set up these PET levels. On the other hand, that's from the other side, from the informal and non-formal course system, this recognition of prior learning procedures, you have NVQS, you have NSTB, you have more than all other countries have. You know, a lot of countries don't have an NSTB. Be proud of having such an institution, agency in the provinces. So I would say that's your asset. You have all these institutions. We just have to help them how they could improve their standards. Now, why do we need the industry? Survey, we did this first survey among employers, and that's why we are here. We had 3 focus groups, one in Kathmandu with Birendra, other people from different sectors. In Hetauda, 20 people from different sectors, and in Chanakpur, yesterday the last focus group. So I would say we had about 40 entrepreneurs and sector skills committee representative who gave us feedback, and we've presented first finding. For me, the problem is, and this comes out from the quantitative survey, I show you here the slide first. We were asking, does the lack of qualified, skilled employee affect the growth rate of your company? And you see here, 73 say significantly. So the big majority say significantly, moderately additional around 30% or 40%. They are waiting until they get the right skills. So this is an issue. So, and if the government wants to have a middle-income country in 15 years from now, I don't know how you want to do it without the industry and without the co-production of skills. So going back, similar study we also did in other countries. I picked Colorado. We were asking companies, and that's my next slide. How do you think, how important are these skills? The relevance, is the skills important? The higher they are, the more important these skills are. For example, trustworthiness, readiness, problem-solving skills, job-related practical skills. And your company, not Swiss company, your company are saying the workplace is the best place to learn this kind of soft skills and some hard skills. And you see on the right side the same picture, the same survey in Colorado. And that we could do the same survey in Switzerland, same picture. Companies think the workplace is better if you have to train soft skills, job-related skills, and that's clear because they have the best technology. And if the learner is exposed to the best technology, that's extremely helpful. The same for soft skills. If you learn soft skills, teamwork and other important soft skills in a classroom with classmates, that take a long time if you want to make an improvement compared to if you can learn from adult teams, you know, where you are embedded in an adult team. So that's the way, that's why I'm saying there's no way without industry. And then on the next slide, I show you also high percentage of employees have informal education in Nepal. We don't know whether they are very productive or whether they just do routine work on a narrow skill set. I have seen a lot of hotels, and I can tell you I see room for improvement, that they have a kind of a multi-skill competence set and can be more productive. Otherwise, they lose time, and that's not really productive. So what we have to now discuss with more deeply with employer, whether they want to upgrade their employee skills, recognize them first, and then upgrade them, because this is maybe a cheap way. Again, the full report will be presented end of August here in Nepal. Here this informal education. Approximately what percentage of your company's employees have only informal education? And if we take here, for example, the purple and the yellow one, yellow, 3 out of 4 to have informal knowledge. So that makes the productivity weak, and that is something we have to address with different ways. More good formal programs together with the industry for the newcomers into the labor market, and recognition of prior learning with the short-term course system for those who are already in the labor market. Good, I sum up. In my view, you have all the ingredients to implement the permeable system, and you can be proud of it, I have to say. You are faster than the United States. I'm always kidding with my colleagues in the States and say, oh, forget it, Nepal is the rock star, and you should go and have a visit what they are doing. And once one was coming, and he was impressed, you know, because they don't have a national vocational qualification system, they don't have an NSTB, they don't have a TSSP, they don't have industry association, they just complain. And you know, this sometimes I hear too, people talk a lot, but they are not in action. But I can tell you, you do things, you are moving forward, and the only missing thing actually is this TVEC Act, which produces some tension, I would say, and the provinces are impatient that they can move forward. However, I want to see a good act that helps your country, and therefore make some rounds of consultation until you really know what is good. I'm with you, I help you if you need my help. Outlook, my recommendation for you, create professional education training in hospitality. It's a huge need in hospitality. Food and beverage heads, managers or line manager, or the people behind the managers behind reception, or in any management. You have NATAM, you have Gate College, but you need more for this extremely demand in the tourism sector. Recognition of prior learning. Okay, this is we have discussed, is something to upgrade human capital. co-produce formal and normal skills together with the industry. This is really my dream for you. And we will discuss with CNI and FNCI how to organize the industry so it's smoother together with CTVT and with the government. And then we invented a newly lab for TVET reform leaders. We started with, and some of the participants are here, with the so-called CEMETS. iLab stands for Implementation Lab Nepal, to go faster, to work on how we can coordinate on local government, province government, and federal government. And seeing what the result of the first cohort, I can say to you, I'm so proud, and I'm so convinced, and that's why we went to Bharatava to see what's going on at the local level, how they do it. And if that is now moving on in the next 6 years, your Article 232, I know it by heart, what's in your Article 232 of the Constitution, that's then the living article, and this makes you strong. That said, I'm so proud about what you have achieved so far. I'm happy to discuss with all of you. Thank you so much for listening, and I'm looking forward to learn from the next presenter. Thank you.
First of all, I would say in reforms, it depends heavily whether you talk about the autonomous system of universities or whether you talk about technical vocational education and training. Because the governance in technical vocational education training or in professional education and training is a totally different one. In technical or PET, I call that TVET and PET, you have national standards and you have regulation on a national level. University, however, they are autonomous. So, and the second problem comes along with national standards for TVET and PET industry. If every province or every polyca want to set up their own program, then this is not in line with the labor market in a small country like Nepal. Nepal is also a small country compared to India, for example, needs. You need mobility on the whole labor market. And that's why you need national standards, and national standards should be in line with national needs of the labor market. So first or foremost, we gave the priority to the industry when it comes to TVET. And this is, of course, here not yet established in the full system. So my concern is that I would recommend to intensify the dialogue with the industry. And because the industry need to be involved in all these bridging courses, you know, in this, you have mentioned that, in this gap courses, in your green arrow with the black dots, you know, because in the future in Nepal, my hope for you is that you go for this dual VET approach. Dual means part of the time is learned in the workplace, the other part at schools, because of all the factors I have presented you in my presentation. And including the industry means, I give that back to all industrials here in the audience, you have to be organized, because for Shiva sir or any other officials from the government, it's very easy if every day another association is entering your door and have complaints or a wish, you can say go home and organize. Speak with one voice. And this speaking with one voice means they have to have a TVET industry council or something like that, which the industry agrees, this is our speaker. So for me, the distinction in permeability is really higher education, and we have heard that from you, sir. You have your own system. You have the university system. You are interested in having transparency to other university, but the governance of university is totally different. And all answers regarding what you have presented may not be the same as for the TVET or PET system. So that's maybe the first point. And the second point is, it's a long way. I mean, re-engineering of education system takes time. You have seen in 1999, we did the big, I would say the big innovation with this vocational baccalaureate program and with the University of Applied Sciences, and now 25 years later, we see the outcomes of that system. So it takes time, but again, my recommendation is keep going, never give up. even though you have difficult situation, the government is again changing, you know, this is just normal. And that's another point why I recommend to strengthen the relationship to industry. They are stable. They are here, they want to do a business, and they want to provide work to the people. So main point is really now, and I think you are mature enough now to raise that industry issue and to learn and to get together. I think I have heard it from both of you that also you are in touch with industry, but not on the same level. You know, each university has their own contacts to the industry. However, here there must be a coordination among entrepreneurs and skills, sector skills committees. Subhash, yeah, I have two comments. One is I feel a little bit the battle between the TVET and the higher education. I just can tell you this is normal. But my recommendation for CTVT, you will lose the battle, because universities are always stronger. They have a stronger institution. They are here since ever. My question is whether you want to focus your energy on this battle, or whether you want to, and this is about critical paths, whether you want to focus more on your own system on higher education. This is this PET. I'm not saying that universities are not open, but you have to anticipate they have their own system, and their aim is to be competitive with other universities around the world, and it's going up with regard to quality. So if you say that all our TVET graduates should enter university, I say this will not be feasible. I'm very frank on that. This is not good, because this is what the US is doing. College for all is wrong. We'll end in this system which 25% of the people have an option. And this is wrong. And why is it wrong? Because the labor market is not looking for just university graduates. The labor market is looking for practical, gifted people. And therefore, I would recommend both of you to embrace each other with regard to each system needs quality. But if the university system accepts 100% of your TVET graduates, then it's just a quality lowering system. So what the way in between could be that you come together to the conclusion under the moderation of the Ministry of Education and Science and Technology, that you define what is the gap of TVET students with regard to general education. Because they have additional competence, but maybe weaker general education. And then you set up a new program. It's then maybe level 4 or maybe level 5. It's just an additional year of general education. In Europe, they call that vocational baccalaureate. It's nothing else than physics, math, language, all this general education which are needed to follow high-quality students. And then it's not each university can decide I take the students or I take not. No, if it's a national diploma on vocational baccalaureate, it's then a kind of entry ticket into the university. And that helps the university to keep going with the quality, and it helps you, you know, to align people which you really want to aim for an academic degree, and others, and this is the weak point, that you not yet have the PET system, and that's why, of course, you want to push everybody to the college, but in that regard, I would say it's in vain, and it will not, it will end up in a US system, and we see now what does this mean, and I would highly recommend to top the US with a newly established PET system. And the second remark is about this different level system. I get headache when I was the first time seeing what is this level 1 to 4, which you are addressing, compared to what is the level 1 to 4, which is related to formal education. I think you just need a translation between the levels. In other countries, for example, in Singapore, Skills Future, they have a similar system for this non-formal, literacy, numeracy, and all that. But if a parent or if an employee need to understand that, you know, they make confusion between formal level system and non-formal. So I just recommend that you give that level a different label so that it's clear it's this non-formal course system, level system, and the other one is a formal one. Yes, they have a TITI, but our analysis in the quality project, where they have one program links to teacher licensing, tells us we have a huge problem in Nepal because the question is who can hire teachers. We have seen that a lot of schools are, working with teachers who only have a mandate, and they are not working 100%. Why should they invest in teacher training? So for me, this is an urgent issue for the TVET Act, because all schools should be handed over to the provinces or the municipalities, and then it's their duty to hire them, and they have other incentives to really do this teacher education. I fully agree with you. Good TVET schools depend on good teachers, but if you have a system as it is currently, it will not work. I would not invest now. I would first solve the other problem. It's all about critical path. And here the critical path is we have to hand over the right to hire teachers to the future, province level or local level. Yeah, good question, Usha. I can give you advice and feedbacks. We did the review of this National Vocational Qualification Framework, and at that time we already said, don't name that bachelor, master, PhD, TVET. Because it's a contradiction. Either, and it's a contradiction to governance. Either you have national qualification standards, and they are in line with what the labor market is looking for, and then it's not an academic degree. If you call them a bachelor, master, and even if you add TVET, it's an academic degree. This is international standard language. And I know the prestige of all people is going in this direction. They want to have a bachelor. But here, I recommend to be strict. The industry in your country don't need bachelors. We see it in a lot of other countries, which they follow the pressure groups, we want to have bachelors. But at the end, I want to see what your labor market is looking for. Because if you produce mismatch, and we have heard that from previous speakers, you have actually a big mismatch. Why should you enlarge that, Why should listen only to those who want to have prestige title? No, it must be professional education and training, and I think it's easy, and it's not in line with your legislation, in my view, and the problem will come up, hopefully from university. Hopefully then you fight and say, no, this is not a bachelor degree. We have the same discussion currently in Switzerland. And people don't understand a bachelor is an academic degree. An academic degree means research-oriented, not so much practical skills. And this is not what you need. And here I recommend you to fight, Fight that the TVET system has this holistic other system with different title, and professional education is international standard on higher education, nurses, for example, all those international standards, they are PET, professional education and training, and not academic. So yeah, I'm pretty frank on that. First of all, to the question of Swagat from Hetauda. Yeah, it's always difficult if you have a new program, which is a very complex one together with the industry, that it's grow just in a linear way. So I understand for the young people here, it's a new challenge, it's a long program, according to what they have in the traditional program. My recommendation for you is just try to use the graduates as ambassador. You are good in doing social media campaign videos, Instagram, you name it, because these young people you want to attract, they are listening to these channels. And it's better that you use the peer language of the young people. The same is done in the United States. They are very good in marketing, They use the young people as ambassador for that new program. And the parents, for example, I have attended in October a panel in New York City with the big boss, Jamie Dimon is the big banker, and with JP Morgan Chase. And I was so impressed because they were inviting parents and graduates from that program. And that was for me the most emotional panel I ever saw, when parents explain why this program was so important to the life of the kid and how they did it. So use the emotion, because if other parents see that this is maybe a good alternative, they may follow. So that's just my advice to you. Now, I cannot answer all the questions, but I would particularly come back to your credit system with a big warning. This is now a serious warning I'm doing for you. be careful with credit transfer system. That is apart from, even not in university. Actually, we at the ETH, we start to realize it was invented in the European Union, this Bologna system, you know, and the purpose of that system was having a mobility among students in the European higher education landscape. But the fact, actually, after 25 years, is a total bureaucracy. And it doesn't really help the student to be really mobile. Why? Universities are autonomous. You have your admission committee, and what are the admission committee doing? This student is not enough good for us, you know. So they protect themselves because quality is everything, you know. So what does this credit system mean then? Credit means 1 point is equal to 30-hour workload. What does this mean? No quality, no competence, nothing. So university are used to it. If you want to do it, good luck. I just make bad experience at our university because we have to teach all modules. You know, every 30 credits must be, or even every 3 credits, you must do a test. Imagine the bureaucracy behind. Imagine the workloads for faculties. So again, if you want to do it, I would recommend at the university first to think about what is the function you need that system for. What is the goal? Why do you need it? Then TVET is a no-go. Why? I understand that you have a good intention, you know. It's not that you don't want to do something good. But the problem here in Nepal is you have not yet included the industry sector. It's a small program called Dual VET with apprenticeship, where we will come up with a study to demonstrate there is a return on investment for companies. And if you have a return on investment for companies, companies will be committed to that. And we can solve a lot of problems like poaching, you know, and other things. But if your slide, I was a little bit shocked. See, this take it out and take it up. Take it out means not every 6 months. Take it out means after a formal program, a formal qualification. This is your pre-diploma and your diploma level and hopefully later on. Why is it important? If you want to have a return on investment for a 24 months program or even a shorter or longer program, it's extremely important that the learner keeps with that company. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And if you do, as if the learner can go, the problem is you have good intent for the learner. But an education system always must have a 360-degree view. It must fit for everyone. It must fit for the learner. It must, however, fit for the companies. It must fit for the university. It must fit for the government. And a credit system, I haven't really seen a credit system around the world that really works. UK is the worst example. In 2000, they like you, they were thinking, okay, we do now national vocational qualification in a modular way, and they came up with 17,000. And you know what happens? The cost, transaction cost to understand what is behind the model are becoming so huge. No one knows what is behind the national qualification framework. So they did a reform again. Now they have 1,700. It's still not really working. And they destroyed the formal system. And that's why in the US they have credit engines, 100,000 of credentials. And the issue is that this is not leading to a system where all stakeholder groups really understand what's behind. It's a good intention. And I would say in the TVET sector, this is not a priority. This is not now a priority. Now you first have to learn how you should embrace the industry sector, because the industry sector, in my view, is now very urgent. It must be regulated in the TVET Act. They have to have power to decide in content, and they should have their duties. And that's why I recommend that they start to speak with one voice so that they are a counterpart for the Ministry of Education. But what one of you have said from the industry, why is no industry people here? Of course, because it's not yet, you are not used to include them as an equal partner. And I would say it's now really urgent that industry first, because the PET level outside the university, who can create those curriculum if not the industry? So for me, industry has to learn a lot, you know. They have to gather themselves, organize themselves, design processes, what is on the federal, province, local level, what are the roles. It's huge work for industry, but it's feasible. And that I'm saying, don't do now innovation which will not work together with the industry. Because they need this 24 months to get to a return on investment, and if you claim a student can leave the company after 6 months, that's dangerous. So, and by the way, in Europe, all systems who do have credits on vocational have full-time schools. And this is a running out model, at least running out with regard to skills mismatch on the labor market. Germany don't have that, Austria don't have that, Switzerland don't have that, because the industry fight against that, you know. They say, no, we need our student the whole time. Yeah, so that's really my big concern, but also it's understandable that actually you are in the middle of re-engineering a lot of things, and you have a good intention, but because the industry has not a strong voice, actually, you don't realize that this is maybe then not the best thing. I understand it from your point, you know, your target group is different, and I particularly like that you want to verify and test those. And I listened carefully, at least to the translator. I didn't understand the original words, but the translator told me that they should get a credential. Yes, credential is different, it's not a credit. Credential is level, non-formal level 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe more, and that's fine. And if that credential is then linked to a part of the competence, model is fine, as long as you don't say the model you can do on an individual base. So this is my biggest lesson learned this trip, and also a warning that I see that you have now to boost on different, in different areas, but think about critical paths. What should go first? And in my view, and that's why we do this industry study, in my view it's now the time for industry. This year should be dedicated to industry on both sides. I look at Shiva Sir, TVET Act, roles and duties for industry, and I look at the industry representatives from CNIF, CSCI, Hotel Association, Agro, SSC. You should sit together and decide how can we speak with one voice as an industry. And if that is then done, then you can boost the country. Thank you very much.